Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back. Here I am, back again. It's been a while. It's good to see you guys. Got my loyal perverted fan base out there watching. We're going to go over some news items of the day. This Week in Decline, sponsored by McDonald's and Coca-Cola. So don't forget to suck down 2 liter of Coca-Cola before you go to bed. Today, I'm going to be talking with somebody I just met on the internet, so this should be interesting. And other than that, we've got Tofu Va Bien, as always, waiting in the wings. So let's bring him out right now. See what's going on. Look out. There's a guy with a lizard on his shoulder.
That's Morgan.
Hey, Morgan.
I can't hear you because of my headphones.
Okay. We'll have to get him some tiny headphones that he can.
Yeah.
All right. We'll work on that. Ryan J. Slater, how's it going? Where are you at? Are you in New Mexico?
That's right, Albuquerque, New Mexico.
Wow. Tell me a story. What's it like there? I've been there once.
It's kind of like how the San Fernando Valley is. The buildings are very similar. There's kind of nothing central similar to the San Fernando Valley. So nowhere for people to commune. Everything is car centric. There's no trees. It's a kind of a desolate wasteland. And it's pretty easy to see why it was the nuclear test site in the 40s and 50s. There's nothing to die because everything's already dead. You look out on the horizon line and you can tell we used to be an ocean, and we even have volcanoes. Very few people know this, that we actually have 3 volcanoes off to our horizon line. And so you can see volcano, 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 Amazon. Literally a giant cardboard box, box-shaped Amazon facility on the horizon line, right next to our 400,000-year-old volcanoes. It's an eyesore, and it shouldn't have been legal to build that structure where they did, but they're building 2 more.
And from my experience, like I spent one time, I was at Black Friday in Gallup, New Mexico, and it was just hell on wheels. There was just people everywhere, and it was crazy. But is Amazon the only game in town? Is that the only jobs in the region besides Walmart?
No, what brought me out here was with my now ex-wife, then girlfriend, was the film industry. So it's still booming. They offer a 30% tax incentive for all film and TV production coming to the state using local cast and crew. So that's why we came out here, because I was in the process of developing a new demo reel. I'm actually a recovering child star, so I have a lot of experience in the film industry that dates back all the way to 1990-ish. And I've actually been in the union since 1993 when I was 10 years old.
Wow.
So, yeah.
Would we have seen you in something?
You may have. Yeah, you may have. My biggest claim to fame was a film called The Amazing Panda Adventure.
Never heard of it.
No? Okay.
No.
It was a Warner Brothers movie, filmed in 1994, about a kid who goes to see his father, who is kind of an Indiana Jones type, rescuing pandas. And so I got to work with panda bears as a kid.
That's amazing. And that they have you listed here, Ryan Slater, but they have Steve Zahn's picture.
I was wondering if that was showing up that way for other people, because I noticed that as well. And I've even tried to write Google about that. Yeah.
They go, close enough. Right. Close enough.
Yeah, I mean, I think he was a child star perhaps at one point as well. So, a dime a dozen we are.
Yeah. But so you've recovered, and that's good, because that can be deadly, being a child star.
Yeah, Macaulay Culkin's still kicking. Kieran Culkin's doing real good. Some of us make it. Others turn up like Eddie Furlong or Brad Renfro or you name it, River Phoenix. In a gutter somewhere.
Yeah. No,
or
no.
my brother. My brother made it out after a while. My older brother is Christian Slater.
Oh, really?
Yeah, you didn't know. Okay,
No,
I
I didn't
wasn't sure
know.
what you knew.
Bonus, bonus. All right.
Yeah.
We're shitting in high cotton now. I actually had Richard Gere's stepdaughter came to our squat in New Orleans one time, and we were really excited about that. Um,
Richard
not,
Gere's stepdaughter.
Stepdaughter.
Yeah, that's a
yeah,
good.
that
That's a good number of degrees removed.
I'm usually about 5 degrees away from
Yeah.
anybody who's got more than $100 in their bank account. Um, yeah. Okay. Well, cool.
Right now, you're 1 degree away from someone with $100 in their bank account.
Hey, man. Hard Rain, True Romance.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I'm a
Hard
big film
rain.
fan.
That's pretty funny that that's what you bring up. It's hard rain. That's the
Well, dude,
last one I would expect people generally to remember.
there was something
I was
about
actually
the.
on that set. I was in that set. They had like
Shut
a
up.
they had a an airplane hangar that they built. I think it was where they built the SR-71 or something like that.
No shit.
And it was a massive facility, like a mile long, north of LA, maybe an hour somewhere. Yeah, so probably around Edwards Air Force Base or something like that.
Huh.
And so they had this giant like moat. And my brother is he's a geek, so like me. I don't have any relationship with him any longer. Just so you're aware.
Sure.
But back then, um, and they gave him a little boat, so he toured my mother and me around the little the facility, which was the city as it was flooded.
I
Uh,
love
it,
that. That's
it
what
was
I thought
cool.
was so
It was really
cool.
fun.
Yeah.
And he had his gun, so he was like acting like his guy, and he does his thing where gets in the high pitch registry. Like, here we go, guys.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
yeah,
Which is typical in acting to get,
yeah.
in
He
character,
he
as
was
it were.
playing the part. He was
Yeah.
playing the part.
Maybe I was 14 when that movie came out. I loved it. I loved it. It always stuck with me. But yeah, funny, funny.
Morgan
Okay. So,
Freeman would have done anything for a paycheck. He's still doing that.
yeah,
Few
yeah.
few people know this. Have you ever noticed that Morgan Freeman doesn't use his left hand?
I would look for that now. Why?
He has not used it since a car crash where he got the passenger of his vehicle killed. She was about
Ooh.
23, 4 years old. The girl that he was dating less than 20 years ago, and she got killed. He wrecked the car, wrapped it around the tree. I think it was in Louisiana or something like that. Maybe Atlanta. Would make sense because that's where they film nowadays. But anyway,
Right.
I've worked with a producer who used to be his sort of like assistant handler type, and he's the one that told me this. Nobody knows this, but he lost the ability to use his hand in that car accident.
Jesus.
Wow. Wow.
But he doesn't talk about it. He never shows it. Again, it's been like 2 decades of him not using it. And you can go back through all of the Batman movies and stuff that he's in. You'll never see him use this hand for anything. It's usually in a black glove. Few people know these
Interesting.
things. I have all sort
Yeah.
of celebrity.
Well,
Yeah.
that's the theme of the show. It's good that you came because celebrity gossip is our main thing.
Right.
Yeah.
I didn't know you either until just the other day when I
Yeah.
posted that
That was so
quick
funny
video.
because I think I've been blacklisted essentially, or ghost banned, whatever the kids call it. I was surprised you found
Shadow.
me and that people were still, that people were still out there and stuff because I gave up.
Right. I mean, I'm constantly shadow banned. I've got like 700 subscribers, and I spend 45 hours a week, according to those Apple tells you how many hours you've wasted of your life on the phone, and so yeah,
Sure.
it tells me it's horrifying. It's clearly an addiction, but I
Yeah.
am trying to, as you see, dress the part, right?
Yeah.
So
You're
I
doing
am
good.
trying. Yeah, I'm trying to do that. Oh, there's that guy too.
Yeah. That's
Yeah,
important. I don't
yeah.
have one, but I'm there with you. Yeah. I have a banjo. That's
It's
about
gotten
it.
some use. It's gotten some use. You see, it's falling apart. See, we have no trees here, so we have 80-mile-an-hour winds. So it's definitely doing its job. I'm gonna have to take it down. I do have like a little sewing kit over there that I need to that I bought to fix that.
Just for that.
But but I don't know how to sew, and also I'm ADHD, so I've had that sewing kit now for about 2 months. So
Yeah.
that's how long it's been coming apart, and it's definitely worse now. Oh well.
Take care of that puppy. Yeah. So what?
The reason I put it on this side too, because it actually sees about 5,000 sets of eyes every day. I back up to a pretty loud road, so that was it's my one little form of protest that I put up when I was stuck here on house arrest last year for the better part of about 11 months.
Wow. Holy
I was
shit.
on house arrest. Yeah.
You staying out of trouble. You got to. The trick is not getting caught.
Yeah. Well, that's the thing about social media. And especially in order, if you want the blue check mark, you gotta say who you are.
Yeah. Yeah.
I even had to change my my photo to have my face in it in order to get that check mark, which I'm paying $15 a month subscription for.
Ah, man. I don't even. I'm wondering if I should be a public figure anymore. It's getting tough.
Yeah. Well, we gotta introduce more guys like this.
So what happened? So you're basically telling Sank from TYT that you think that you should be the boss of that place. Is
I
that
do.
right?
Yeah.
What? So
I do.
you've written him multiple letters trying
I
to.
have.
So tell me a story. What's your pitch? How do you? What do you want? What do you want and why?
Well, with TYT in particular, I find that they are the most reliable network. I watched a couple of your podcasts, one with John Waters. I'm a fan of his, so I clicked on his first, and then I watched the one with Vosh, which I also mentioned in that letter.
Yeah.
Um, uh, but Vosh has shown some of his biases,
Sure.
and sometimes is unwilling. And actually, I have a screenshot of the very moment that Vosh banned me from his chat. Yeah, it's like I loved it. You could see his eyes zooming in on me. It was pretty
Yeah.
great, and he didn't say anything about it. But then all of a sudden, I wasn't allowed to talk anymore. But so that's the thing about me. I'm very incendiary, uh, and one thing that you said in that interview that I thought was interesting, and it kind of relates to what your question is. Um, and this was 2 years ago. The weirdest thing about what he said was that he actually referred to the Republicans committing a Holocaust, and then just 6, 7 months later, October 7th.
Right.
Yeah. And now here we are. But anyway, you had said something about how, like, Stephen Colbert
Oh,
was
right. Yeah.
was trying to basically disguise himself as a right winger. And I had actually said something very similar on Joman's post just a couple days ago. Maybe it's yesterday. You're familiar with Joman, I'm sure. You're a musician.
No. Who? What?
Oh, you don't know? Okay, he's a musician on Facebook and Instagram. Um, does a lot of cyberpunk type end of the world fun content, and highly recommend. So I had posted on his account just yet I think it was yesterday, that maybe we can form a sort of a morality party. We can have an antithesis to the MAGA, a Tea Party movement within the left. And unfortunately, there are things which now, even on the TYT network and even on mainstream networks, are finally talking about some of the things that I have said for a long time have been dragging down the Democratic Party, of whom I used to caucus with.
Wow.
So now I think they're finally becoming aware of these issues. I suspect it's already too late. Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez and Bernie are out there doing their tour. Good start, as I said in that letter. But again, as I said in the letter, Feeney of Facts and Fire says, and I think we all can kind of see, no one can predict whether or not there will even be a 2028 election.
Yeah. Yeah. So what was it? What was the turning point when you said, well, this party isn't exactly what I signed up for? Something smells fishy here.
I've been a self-described libertarian socialist long before I even knew there were other people who were calling themselves libertarian socialists. I think I started talking about this 2011 when I was living in at the time the UK, and it was not the first time that I'd been either hurt or sick abroad, and was able to take advantage of the socialized healthcare, and around that time was when I decided that there is a right way forward as a society, and
Yeah,
our current iteration of democracy is not it. And I like to explain, because no one knows what a libertarian socialist is. It's a weird that I even coined that phrase that apparently already existed for some years. But I even came up with the correct order. I swear to God, I have no way to prove it, but that is one thing that I can say I actually did. I did come up with the term libertarian socialist, despite the fact that it had already existed previously. But
we believe you. We believe you.
Thank you. I like to describe it to layman's as a socialist. I believe that a nation has the duty to protect and provide for its citizens, its people. And as a libertarian, I believe that a people have the duty to stand up and protect their rights. That's how I like to tell people.
Yeah.
Because otherwise,
I think I would say, and it appealed to me the same way when somebody else said it to me, and I said, I like that flavor best, because if it says maximizing personal freedoms, and then if the government has to do anything, it's only for the benefit of the people. And of course, state-sponsored capitalism is a must. We still want to get shit done, but we don't want to, be poisoned or manipulated or coerced or whatever, which is the current thing. My
belief about this particular ideology as well, that is so appealing, and I think that other people could relate to it, in some of the things that I think you remember you were saying in that interview with Vosh as well, was that there are it's an obvious contradiction. Okay, so it's kind of speaks to the philosophy that two things can be true at the same time.
Yeah, sure. Yeah. And need to be, because of the world, because there's nuances in the world. We can't, there has to be some nuance.
I talked about, it's funny you said nuance, because that letter to Cenk that was my thing. That's the reason why I believe that my account doesn't grow. So I appreciate you having me on, is because the internet does not traffic in nuance. They want to be able to reject you outright if they can.
Yeah,
which is why it's helpful for me to wear, as I do in my real estate career. I'm always wearing my just whacked him on the head. I'm always wearing my realtor sign on all my t-shirts.
Yeah.
So I'm always I like to show that I am accountable, which is part of the reason why I put the blue check mark on there in the first place. And I really don't have $15 a month to be spending on that thing.
Yeah, I'm almost at the point where I don't want to associate with it. Like, I understand the causes and what they represent, but the people that are spearheading the causes sometimes, it's just miserable. Because I think at the very, like, libertarian socialist, yeah, I'll sign up for that. But really, at the end of the day, misanthrope all the way. Don't think that there's any hope, because the flaws in humanity are imprinted on the systems that we create. And everybody wants a chocolate bar and to have sex with the next person that walks by. We're primitive minded. We have a reptilian brain that keeps us focused on only our most primitive urges, and that we're basically led around by our taste buds and our erections. It's
I think your
hard.
producer had something to say about that.
Yeah, well, I mean, what do you think, Tofu?
Well, I'm the undying optimist, and I'm also like slightly different to you guys. I don't think that you can actually have a libertarian socialism. Like, I really love the idea in theory, and one of my favorite essays ever about socialism was written by Oscar Wilde, and he's a pure libertarian socialist, like an artist, like not somebody who is serious about political theory or whatever. But like our enemies basically will show us no mercy, and you can look at this like, because this is the thing, whenever people say, oh, socialism just can't work because it's failed everywhere it's been tried.
Sure.
But like, why has it failed? Well, because all of the socialist countries were bombed and couped and, so I don't know.
They're also set up to fail. If it's very similar, that's what they were talking about on Breaking Points a couple of days ago, that even, tariffs perhaps could work if they were done correctly.
Yeah.
But of course, that's
I agree
not
with
what
that.
Trump does. He doesn't really think about anything before he does it. He uses ChatGPT, which spits out garbled nonsense.
I do that all the time. I use ChatGPT. Write me an email.
Yeah.
But I think the tariffs, also could work. But he's not taking advice from any major economist. Fuck the neoliberal economists or whatever. But any economist anywhere, there's only like 2 economists that said, yeah, this could work. But that's the thing, is America is desperate to bring back manufacturing to the United States, and it's just not going to be that easy. Forbes released an article this week that said if iPhone was manufactured in the US, like Trump said, it could cost upwards a maximum about $100,000 each, which
per
even
phone?
if it's exactly. And even if it's $5,000 per phone, that's still too much. But that highlights the problems with the supply chains, where it doesn't matter what this dude does. The country itself is fucked. Like I always say, it doesn't matter who, if you change the
Is he getting all twisted for you?
the
Because I
car every
can't
4
hear him.
years, the car is the same working parts. Then it's really going to be in rough shape. It's not going to end well for the United States, because we outsourced all of this manufacturing to other countries, and now we don't make anything. And now people are kind of, wising up to the whole charade. And I just wrote an article yesterday about how the African influence is waning. We're still trying to overtake. Like right now, Eric Prince, the CEO of Blackwater, a military contractor, is down in Ecuador trying to overthrow the fucking government by siding with the incumbent who lost the election, and the new leftist lady president or whatever. The United States isn't a fan of this, so they're down there doing what they do best in the last 100 years, which is overthrowing the fucking government. Now in Africa, we've basically been chased out. Now, if you guys may remember, a few months ago in Niger, the United States pulled out altogether because this military junta took control, and they kicked us out. And this is happening all over Africa, especially Western Africa. This week, Ibrahim Traore, he's the leader of Burkina Faso. He's a big socialist. He's a Pan-Africanist, and he's anti-US. Now, he's been attempted assassinations so far, 16, and he's only been in office for like a few years. But we're losing our foothold over there too. So it's really fascinating watching this slow motion car wreck.
I've been saying for a long time that the non-Western countries are going to start to ally, and this trade war is encouraging this process to happen at exceedingly quick pace. So I think that we as a society, well, I mean, I love the way that the Chinese in perfect Chinese fashion are trolling us on the internet with
Yeah, yeah.
those factory workers doing, like, making the iPhones and sewing all of the textiles and such. The Chinese have always just been wonderful. You know, but the grass mud horse.
What is
Oh, I
that?
figured you would. So that in 2011, during the Syrian civil war, there was a big censorship issue. But of course, Chinese hackers are the best. So the they they're not allowed to say anything that could be considered like even rude online. And the word "sao nima" actually in Chinese, if you play with the tones, it could be an alpaca, the, the, the animal. Or if you screw up the tones, like ma in Mandarin can be four different words. It could be like a question mark, it could be marijuana, it can be a horse, and there's one other one I can't remember. But Sao Nima, pronounced a slightly different way, also means fuck your mother's cunt.
Ooh.
And so there was this hilarious song that the Chinese made go viral of these like alpacas, and they're like spraying water on them, and it's like a sexy like 90s Baywatch bikini scene. You know, they're throwing the water going everywhere, and it's these little children singing this happy song about alpacas. But whenever the punchline comes up, it's "fuck your mother's cunt," you know, like
Wow.
Nima.
I love that. I'm in Germany, and that was the same thing. There's a lot of words that are very close, and because I don't speak the language, sometimes I embarrass myself. I'm trying to fit. I get into a fit. Somebody just punches me in the face for trying to ask something simple. It's like the
Are
Monty
you
Python
serious?
thing. My hovercraft is full of eels, and he's like, "Oh, okay." um,
I'm under the impression that you don't really have to learn German in Germany.
well, no, because there you'll meet a proud German who doesn't speak English. Generally, they
Okay.
speak English, but if you and I prefer to live in the countryside. I get me away from the cities and the people and stuff. I'm happy, and so yeah, you'll have some old timers that just go, I don't speak English, but yeah, um, I like it here. It's just a little different. Your tofu is from Ireland, right? Is that's what a
the
place that
the
is.
Emerald Isle, yeah.
The old Emerald Isle.
Yeah.
Mm.
You guys are always
Um,
listening to the Clancy
we're
brothers and doing a jig and
we're all watching from Ireland, like watching America decline because our economy is like fundamentally linked. Like all of our foreign investment comes from America. And all of these talks about tariffs on pharmaceuticals and stuff are just driving people up the wall. And so yeah, on the one hand, like the socialist part of me is like, finally for the people in the global south, like this is their moment. And then one half of me is like, well, I guess there goes my nice comfortable life, but
yeah.
I'm willing to sacrifice a bit.
So long hot showers and hot food. No, I'm sure you'll be
Yeah.
fine, really. There's infrastructure built into even when the decline happens for all of us people in the West. Enough will be built up where we'll still have the basics, the house and the medicine and the food and the stuff. It will be fine to that extent. What we have to get rid of is the for-profit industries that like overcharge for medicine or that poison us and put poison on every corner and stuff. Because if we could do that, we could live off very little. Like the GDP doesn't have to be that big. We could just chill, smoke some weed, just play some guitars, just chill. People's habits too and hobbies are so insane, like cruise ships and jet skis and stuff I'll never understand. Not my thing. I'm a little too more practical.
Yeah.
Um,
I used to
so my
work for Amazon, and I used to complain on our private bulletin board constantly. Like, does I get that, if he wants to have a couple of mega yachts, then that's cool. but Jeff Bezos should probably allow some of the employees to use one of the older ones every once in a while. Why do you need 12 mega yachts? You can't fly to
Yeah.
the mega yacht? Uh,
Yeah, we were just talking the other day about how he doesn't even when the grass gets too big and he gets fined by the city for having his bushes too big or whatever, that he just pays the $5,000 fine or whatever and continuously does
you
that.
mean
And
he has an HOA?
he lives somewhere. He's probably well, he's got multiple properties, but at least one of them's in a neighborhood where he's beholden to the neighborhood Gestapo.
Wow. Oh my God, I got to get on that board.
Yeah. Yeah, you're so rich, but you still have to fucking cut your grass.
Fucking Karen. There's like 12 Karens. It's like a board of 12 Karens. Yeah,
Uh,
they could remake 12 Angry Men with all Karens.
12 Angry Karens. I'm looking forward to that. You have acting credentials. You should be in that movie.
Who would I be? There's
One
no
of the
other
Karens.
one. Yeah,
The
like,
the
the
guy
whole
that stops
movie
the
is like four.
Karens.
It's 12 people sitting around a table. Yeah,
Oh, that's
and
right. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
in the original films, like it's all even in the second one, the remake, which I think my mother casted. She may have. It's still all men, which wasn't the rule in
But
the 90s.
this is a one room thing though. It's all in one room the whole time, right?
It's basically
Yeah.
a stage play. Yeah,
It's a cheap movie to make. Yeah, yeah. I love
right,
those too. I love these kind of flicks. Like
right.
Carnage, if you've seen Carnage, is an amazing movie. Or what's the other one I'm thinking of? Gary Glenn Ross.
I knew you were going to mention David Mamet.
Is that who did
Yeah,
it?
that actually, Glenn Ross takes place in Albuquerque. Well, I should say it takes place in New York,
Ah.
but they're selling Albuquerque real estate. So one of our that was part of this funniest part of coming out here and becoming a realtor is like finding all of these little areas. Ironically, despite the fact that we are a desolate wasteland of just desert, there are very few places to build. And so we didn't think about the economic expansion of Albuquerque when businesses and especially the labs started opening up in the 50s to build the bombs and or continue building the bombs. So they have, especially in Rio Rancho, which is where they were selling in Glen Ross. Uh, it's just it's like they have these huge half-acre properties, but they have each house in the back has a quarter acre that can't even be accessed. So some of them use it for like farming or house their chickens or whatever. But that is a lot of wasted land. And the reason why they build them into this shape, so Rio Rancho is like it's a city. It's got 70,000, 50,000 population or something like that, and it sort of it connects to Albuquerque in kind of the shape of at the top half of Albuquerque, kind of making the shape of Idaho. And the reason why it creates this shape is because we have so many pueblos. We're surrounded by them on three sides, and so we can't physically build the amount of single family housing that they want to build in these subdivisions that are just like cookie cutter streets. It usually takes 5 years before they even open up a CVS, much less a McDonald's.
Yeah.
And so there's nothing out there. And so when they were selling them on Glengarry and Glen Ross, and I even rewatched the movie a year or two ago, and I just kept thinking like, man, would they were scamming those people, because of course they're selling people in New York City about like having like these golf courses and country clubs and great weather. It's a shithole. So like the thing about being in the San Fernando Valley, you know, you're 2 hours from the snow. You're an
Yep.
hour from the beach. You can get anywhere in Southern California. Whereas
Yeah.
out here, we're a very similar type of environment, with the exception that we're like 8 hours from nothing.
More
So
desert.
Yes, exactly. So it's just like especially when I was working at Amazon. I mean, it's soul crushing. It's soul crushing to live out here, and this is the
Yeah.
reality of the majority of the flyover states. There's nothing central. There's nothing to do. There's nothing fun. There's no place to meet anybody. I have no social life whatsoever. My social life is online. That's why I spend 40 hours a week on my
Yeah.
Instagram.
Yeah. Here we are. And I used to hitchhike across the country and live in my van for 10, 15 years. I was homeless or whatever, that's the whole point of the thing. But, and you would go to these food deserts where Walmart's the only game in town. And like, there was many times where I had to eat taquitos off at a gas station because that was literally the only nutrition that was anywhere around. And it's just kind of sad, kind of
Hmm.
sad. But then again, it's cheap, it's beautiful and warm, at least compared to here. I remember the rainstorms in New Mexico, though. They were insane. Like if they would come, when they come,
In the
it was
summers, yeah, we do actually get
really,
some precipitation in the summers,
yeah.
and yeah, they say wait 15 minutes. I don't necessarily agree that it's that sporadic, but we will. Just last month, we had like 3 hailstorms just come out of nowhere. Uh, so it's a weird place, weird state.
Wait, waiting for those volcanoes to erupt. So what do you guys want to go over a few articles real quick? I
Sure.
got some. I wanted to get your guys' take on this, and then I want you also wanted to talk about the court system out there, right?
I would
You're
love
dealing
to.
with. Yeah. All right. Well, let's do this article, and then we'll get your, and then we'll hear about some Irish politics. How about that? She's going to give us the skinny on what's happening over there in the old Emerald Isle.
We're
You know,
in for
and
a treat.
in Ireland, when two guys disagree with each other, the one guy will go out to the bar and drink till about 2, and then he'll go to the dude's house and start banging on the shutters at 2 a.m. and saying, "I'm calling you out, Paddy McFlynn. Get out here. I'm going to beat your ass." And then they scuffle. Isn't that right? Or was that an urban legend?
Totally right. Yeah. Beat for beat.
Nevertheless, so big news on campus is these JFK files, right? So he goes in and he releases, Trump says, "Oh, I released all these JFK files." So we didn't find anything significant about JFK or the assassination, but we did find something interesting about Cuba. I don't know if you guys heard about this. So, as you know, the CIA is a pretty shady organization that likes to overthrow governments and kill people and stuff. It was rumored that at one time, Fidel Castro was attempted assassinations were up to like 600 different times they tried to kill this guy. Never quite did it. Everything from exploding cigars to, I don't know, poison darts, stuff like this. They never could nail it down. But nevertheless, some new information just came out with these files telling about what else the CIA tried to do in order to overthrow Cuba, just for being communist. Um, so President Kennedy was assassinated. Blah, 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 blah. Let me see. These files, released after decades of secrecy, paint a disturbing picture of the superpower willing to employ methods ranging from economic strangulation to biological warfare in its determination of eliminating what it perceived to be the communist threat just 90 miles south of American shores. So the first one, yeah, thank you. The first one you have Operation Mongoose. This was the master plan for Cuban destabilization. So they had basically coordinated campaigns against Cuba that began in about 1961, November, right after the Bay of Pigs fiasco, under the direction of General Robert Kennedy and Brigadier General Edward Lansdale. It was basically an umbrella program for dozens of covert operations against Cuba. So there was dedicated task force of about 400 CIA officers working exclusively on Cuban operations. So it was one of the biggest covert operations in CIA history, surpassing even the agency's efforts during Vietnam. So they had 6 things: intelligence collection, a network building, defection operations targeting key Castro allies, trying to get more powerful bureaucrats to resign, switch sides, as it were, sabotage and harassment operations, always good. Sounds like my Friday night. Economic warfare, general uprising preparation, so funding opposition groups like they do, and support for military intervention. So anybody who said, "We want to overthrow the government," that they would pay them so that they could get a power vacuum going, something to. So not bad, not a bad plan if you were a coercive piece of shit.
Mm. Yeah, RICO is complicated. RICO is it's hard, and this is why it's hard to prosecute. It's just, we were going to talk about the parental alienation industry. It is that kind of crime. There's 1,000 types of things working together in
the world
collaboration
is
with
an
each other.
ugly place full of constant threats. Like the natural world, you got scorpions and snakes and stuff. The man-made world is way more dangerous with what we've created, bureaucracy wise, and poisons and fucked up systems and crazy police, you name it. Yeah. One of the most interesting parts about this was the agricultural bioterrorism. So they wanted to try to induce crop failures in Cuba. That was the big plan of the CIA. They said, well, this is a good idea. They wanted to target Cuban agriculture through biological means, representing one of the earliest documented cases of state-sponsored agricultural bioterrorism. February 1961 memorandum titled Operation Bitter Harvest outlines plans to introduce plant pathogens targeting key crops, with rice receiving particular attention due to its importance in the Cuban diet. So everybody knows what, funguses and fungi or what have you, insects you could release. They were doing the same, I believe, in before with the
Hang on a second,
cocaine
guys.
field.
I have to go into my house because my battery on my headphones are dying.
Okay, well, you just hang tight. We'll put this. There you go. He'll be okay. Lizard will take point. This is totally insane. Did you ever hear anything like that, Tofu? Something agricultural bioterrorism?
Truth is stranger than fiction. I'm sure. What could you call what the Yankees did in Vietnam bioterrorism? Like all that Agent Orange?
Agent Orange and napalm. Yeah, I mean, more directly because maybe it's because they sprayed it directly at the people, but instead of attacking, like generally in war, maybe we attack the people, but if you attack the crops, somehow that's different and worse. It is worse. It's more planned out, right? That's why when you murder somebody in the heat of the moment, it's not as bad as if you plan it for 6 months in advance. They give you more jail time for it. So.
True. But they didn't bring in those Nazi scientists for nothing,
Though we got to put those Nazi scientists to work. We paid for them. We bailed them out. So they had fungi that had rice diseases, stuff like that. Sugar cane they poisoned. Tobacco they wanted to poison. Bacteria in the poultry and in the cattle. Very nice. All right, let's breeze through these. Operation Sweet Tooth, the contamination of sugar exports, so attacking the sugar industry. That's one of their major exports that they were making money on. And the Castro Assassination Laboratory. So Technical Services Division's Deadly Innovation. So like literally a James Bond style a place where you walk in and they have all these umbrellas that can kill people. So there was a contaminated diving suit. This was one of the most interesting. A December 1962 memo confirms that the CIA acquired a diving suit contaminated with Madura foot, a fungus that causes deep skin lesions, and planned to present it to Castro, an avid diver, through an intermediary. But the plan was abandoned when a different diving suit was gifted to Castro by somebody else.
They're giving the guy athlete's foot?
Basically.
Motherfucker. I love the names that they come up with. Bitter agriculture or whatever, and the sweet
what was it? Bitter harvest. Yes,
bitter
this will be a bitter harvest, I'm sure.
It's cute.
As they stroke their cats.
Yeah, that's what it's like.
Yeah. So here's one for you guys. The exploding seashell. Technical Services Division spent over 11 grand developing an explosive device disguised as a conch shell to be placed in an area where Castro was frequently diving. So I think I'll avoid that blinking seashell. I think I'll leave that one there. The poison pen, of course, the hypodermic needle, so fine that they wouldn't notice. Seen that in the movies quite a bit. The deadly cigar, of course, the exploding
Acme.
old. Yeah, I think he got the CIA has been watching too many Bugs Bunny cartoons.
Right.
The poison milkshake. The files confirmed that the infamous poison milkshake plot progressed further than previously known. So, a CIA asset working on Castro's favorite restaurant was
They
actually
drink
provided with.
milkshakes?
He was a big milkshake fan. Communism and milkshakes. I don't know. It just always go hand in hand. Uh, so they put botulism basically, or botulinum. So I guess that was a form of botulism, I guess.
That's what was giving him the athlete's foot?
Could have been. Could have been. Maybe it was a package deal. They just wanted to give him a bunch of minor maladies so that he would just be.
Botulism. Okay.
Yeah.
Give up
Well, that's
the
what.
communism on his
Well,
own.
you got connections to Hollywood. Isn't that what they put in the face to make the lips big in the
A
Hollywood?
Botox. Similar.
Botox, similar
I think.
thing.
I
Okay.
don't know. I don't know. I don't know
Um,
if it burns as much.
Yeah. Depends on where you put it.
I could use some.
Yeah, me too, man. Getting old is not good for the face.
No.
The contaminated handkerchief, another good one. LSD. Okay, so in one of the stranger plots that they had, the CIA planned to spray Castro's broadcasting studio with aerosolized LSD before the televised speech in hopes of causing the Cuban leader to exhibit bizarre behavior that would undermine his credibility. I love this. I think that would have backfired. That he would have probably given the most interesting and impassioned speech maybe ever. Um, I think I had that idea because we had trouble with our teachers in high school. We thought, well, we want to go take liquid LSD, put it on all the door handles in the entire school, and that should just about fix them good.
Mm.
All right, a few more here. The gamma ray briefcase. The files reveal a development of a device disguised as a briefcase that would emit a focused gamma radiation that was put next to Castro during meetings to potentially cause radiation or sickness.
Cancer?
But they tested it and they found that it was impractical. So, and it
Really?
is. I don't. Yeah, you wouldn't have thought. We're gonna put a microwave next to. We're gonna have a guy.
Cost how much money? You know,
Right,
at this
right,
point, I'm thinking, they could have probably organized a few strikes on the guy, and it would have all been fine. They
Yeah.
would have just blamed it on some other country or whatever.
And there wasn't any Air Force at the time that Cuba was going to take like an Iron Dome over Cuba that takes down. No,
Easy. Yeah.
yeah.
Like
Maybe
shooting
international.
a guy like a Hamas fighter out of a window in Iran.
Right.
No
Right,
one would
right.
have said anything.
Yeah, it's amazing what we do in plain sight, and then the stuff we try to hide that we think we're already openly despicable. Why are we trying to hide like these little details like this?
Maybe it's so that we can have something to virtue signal to.
Something to say, hey, yeah, we like to pay lip service to stuff too.
Right.
We love to pretend like we care. So the last one, and perhaps the most bizarre, the CIA considered spraying Castro's shoes with strong depilatory chemical while he was being interviewed by an American television crew, causing his beard to fall out on camera, which the plot was abandoned because the interview was canceled. But nevertheless, yeah.
Wait, so it actually happened?
No, that I think that they were planning on it, but it didn't happen because the interview itself got canceled.
Oh.
But that the chemical exists.
Was
I
going
don't
to
know if
make
it's-
his beard fall off.
The beard falls
he's
right off.
known for his beard. His beard
Right.
is like part
And
of his
that-
whole image, his
Like Samson.
revolutionary,
Yeah.
freedom fighter image.
Yeah.
So he had to lose the beard. And if he's without the beard, he's not Castro.
I would think not. I think that
not a beard. I'll tell you that from personal experience.
yeah. So I mean, not the best thing the CIA ever came up with. So okay, so here's how many else we got? Let me get the juicy ones. Oh, you got your general false flags. Anyway, well, you guys can check it out. I'll put it in the chat. You guys can read the rest later. There's a lot going on there, but just like, the MK Ultra experiments, it was a half-baked thing. In the day of the CIA, they really believed that the Russians had telekinetic abilities. And generally in these places you have religious, straight edge kind of square guys that are working. These guys believe in God. They think that there's a God in heaven, and they're tasked with our central intelligence. It's quite vexing. that these two things exist in the same place. But
Don't they
whatever.
recruit from the Mormons a lot?
Yeah. So the thing is, I'm from Colorado originally, and so right there in Colorado, Utah, New Mexico, that's the military industrial complex like corridor, because you have Lockheed Martin testing stuff out there. You have NSA is in Utah. For whatever reason, they recruit Mormons because they don't drink, they're semi-responsible, they might have ludicrous, religious views, but hey, what religious person doesn't? But I think, yeah, I don't know. They're dependable, and they go to BYU, Brigham Young University, and they go and they do it. The CIA is famous for doing it at Yale too. Like you'll find a lot of recruitment happening at Yale. I interviewed the amazing John Kiriakou, the CIA whistleblower who blew the whistle on the torture program, and he had he had a lot of interesting things to say. But among other things, he was recruited in college. So his professor came to him and said, "Hey, how'd you like to travel the world, meet interesting people, and learn how to kill them?" And he said, "Okay." And it sounded like fun to him. I would never go for that, I just never. They said, when you're 18, you might have to join the military. I said, I'll fucking do anything I can do to get out of that. And in Podunk, rural flatland Colorado, a lot of kids just think that that's the only. It's either start a factory job or what. There's no factory jobs anymore, but like work at, be an Uber driver, join the military, or go to prison. That's kind of the three options you have.
You get 3 square. I would know. I spent a month in jail last year.
So tell me a story about this damn court system, and don't leave out any details. What happened?
So 2.5 years ago, I was served with a notice that said that I asked my wife for a blowjob, and therefore I need to be removed from my home. And I was removed immediately. I didn't see my daughter originally for 6 weeks, then 6 months, then 9 months. And this was despite the fact that we even proved in court that not only is my wife abusive, but I just luckily happened to have a taped confession on which she confesses to not only that she knows she's being recorded, therefore it couldn't be argued, at least not in good faith, that she was under duress, because we were sitting having lunch at a cafe on a patio for 2 hours, and she confessed on tape to not only a decade of domestic violence against me, but also attacking me with kitchen knives. And if it weren't for that tape, which we weren't even allowed to play before the court, but we were able to at least impeach my ex-wife on her lies, that the hearing officer, not the judge, we almost never got to see the judge, Ashley Martinez, sexist, disgusting woman, she agreed that my wife is violent, filed a restraining order against me, and then continued to give full custody to my ex-wife, regardless of the fact that we had just proven that she's an attempted murderer. So that's the situation. That's why this is common. I'm coming to learn that these sort of things, nothing that I am saying is unique in any capacity. The only thing that's different about my situation is that I record everything. It's so in most cases, and right now I only have 10% custody, and I spent about $290,000 to get that. But the majority of cases, we never get back in our home. I actually won the house in my divorce, which is extremely rare, especially after I was kicked out of my home for a year and a half. The judge that we finally mediated through said, nope, he gets the house. It never happens. But there's no due process. So right away, they violated my 4th, 6th, 14th Amendment rights. I had a protective order filed against me, which is what I ended up violating, and then ended up spending 11 months, well, 10 months on house arrest plus 1 month in actual jail, because I had talked about it online while those restraining orders were in place, and you can't do that. So
Interesting.
it's they put a gag order on you so that no one can find out what's going on in the family courts. This is common.
This is common, and
Yeah.
and and
Happens
it
to
doesn't.
48,000 families every year. They
Hmm.
use this process to remove children from the homes. Eventually, I mean, these are social workers, attorneys making $350 an hour. I had the bail bondsman call me one afternoon, and explain to me, before the Bail Bondsman Act 5 years ago, they were making $100,000 a month putting ankle monitors on people. So there's big money. And all of these people have their hands in the judge's pockets, which, again, they're publicly elected. We understand, even on the left, that especially on the left, that the highest echelon of the judicial branch in government, no one would argue, especially on the left, that is not corrupt. And I mean, we had really four of our current justices lie during their Senate testimony hearings that things like Roe v. Wade were set precedent and could not be overturned. And then shortly after they were nominated and approved by the Senate to join the bench, what did they do? So, I mean, we know that it's corrupt at the top, and then yet at the bottom we have all of these liberal Democrat judges. So we're all good at the lower courts. There's no problem there. But the reality is those special interest groups have their hands in those judges' political elections. And most of them, after a while, they're running unopposed. So they're just there forever. And they will even advertise to you. I had one of my, and again, I record everything. So there is going to be a book down the road. But one of the judges actually basically produced an infomercial for the Our Family Wizard app while we were in court. One of my criminal judges, when I was facing going to jail, which eventually they revoked my conditions of release and they put me in jail, despite the fact that there was no legitimate reason to do it in the first place. But beside the point. We have to use this as co-parents. My ex and I have to use. We were court ordered to use it. This app, Our Family Wizard app. It's like $200 a month subscription, and they will. And it's part of. They even write it into the protective orders. Like if you are co-parenting, then they have the right to be able to communicate with the other parent in this one app, because supposedly the judges have access to see what's being communicated. Oh, he came back. But it's total bullshit. They don't read any of these emails. I know, because I addressed the judges directly in those emails, and they were not read. In fact, during the district court hearings for my divorce and custody, my ex-wife was actually tasked to read aloud 17 email chains so that the judge or the hearing officer in that case could hear them, because again, they didn't listen to them. So we were paying $350 an hour to listen to my ex-wife at the time read emails that they were supposed to have been able to have access to all along. But because I had sent some of those emails and had gone outside of the parameters of what I'm allowed to talk about, discuss with my ex-wife, which is I'm only allowed to communicate pertaining to our daughter. That's it. And so I definitely have a mouth, and it's big. And so I said too much, and I got in trouble. And so I got an ankle monitor. I got put on house arrest, and I was stuck in this home for 11 months. And to be honest with you, I'm a little afraid to even leave it now. And I did that for for a while, and I was thinking it was going to be a couple of weeks. That's what they told me. That's what my attorney told me. It was going to be a couple of weeks. And it turned out to be 11 months, including time.
What is your wife like? The daughter of some famous person in Albuquerque that gives it? What? How could she have that? That's so messed up.
It's called they say first to file. So I do recommend. I hope she's in the chat. I don't know. I did tell her briefly, but just before we came on here, the Anti-Alienation Project. If you're interested in this, you should subscribe. This woman, Maddie Wellborn, was herself an alienated child from her father, and now, according to her videos that she produces, no longer communicates with her mother in any capacity. And she only learned about 2 or 3 years ago that her mother had done what is known as the silver bullet divorce technique, which is to be the first to file, and then everything is just an uphill battle at that point. You as a father, especially a straight white father, going into a court hearing when you have been labeled abusive. And as I said, I asked my wife for a blowjob, therefore I'm abusive. And it's written in written format. There's an email that we were able to show the judge that said, I asked my wife for a blowjob, and therefore my child has to be taken away from me. But there, as I said, no due process. So I was never able to argue it. I was just kicked out and left to figure out what am I supposed to do. Now I have to hire an attorney. As I said, $350 an hour. Not many people can afford that. And I certainly couldn't afford that. I had a successful real estate business going at the time. And so I had savings, and I blew through my savings. And had I not been in a situation where I had a family that was going to help me out through this time, then I would have been like everyone else. I'd be on the streets, homeless. I'd be back in jail. This is how they do it. It's a way for them to, for-profit prisons is all part of this. The jail that I was at, MDC, Metropolitan Detention Center, it's a for-profit prison. So each one of us is worth $80,000 a year. The judges are quick, especially when I was saying to put those ankle monitors on people. That you pay as a service to wear this GPS ankle monitor. You pay $280 a month to have it installed, and then a single service fee of the equal amount, $280, just to have it put on your leg, and then you got to walk around with it, and you're paying. I mean, my cell phone bill is only $50. And it does all sorts of stuff. The GPS, which it is included in this thing, that's all it does, and I'm paying $280 a month for that fucking thing. So they put me on house arrest, one, because I couldn't afford the ankle monitor, but they put you on CCP, the community custody program, then it's actually free. So lucky me, I got to be stuck at home and then have to do urine tests like twice a week, plus I had to do a breathalyzer test 4 times a day. And then get constantly yelled at by my commanding officers, and I have random inspections in my house once a week. It was a weird thing. It was weird going downtown to Albuquerque 7 a.m. Tuesdays. Usually they switch it up on you sometimes to try to screw with you, but for the most part I would have to go downtown twice a week at 7 a.m. On usually it's Tuesdays is when we can change our schedule for the week. So if I had a job, which I was working at Amazon part-time, and because I was working at ABQ5, which is part-time only, unless you get a better job than a tier 1. If you can move up to tier 3 or 4, then you could be full-time. But so I tried to do that because I was only able to change my schedule Tuesdays at 7 a.m. And therefore I wasn't able to add any of the VET, voluntary extra time. So I was not only struggling, I was going to lose my home because I couldn't meet my mortgage. And like I couldn't change my schedule. I couldn't add any of those times because guess what? Like I don't have, they come in at random and they're competitive, those offers to pick up someone else's shift. So I couldn't take them, and therefore I was like, financially
Yeah.
dying. Uh,
Yeah, and the closer you get to poverty too, the harder everything becomes, the more expensive everything becomes, and court fees and you know, poor people get in those courts.
I was with the public defender's office for a while until they all had to recuse from my cases for having conflicts of interest. So after a while, and that's just again typical. Oh, now Morgan wants to participate. um, uh, I had with the public defender's office at one point, I had 16 or maybe around there, around 16 different attorneys that were representing me. Plus, then after a while, after they were found to have conflicts of interest, they had contractor attorneys, 3 different ones, come onto my cases, and I had 7 charges, each one facing up to 364 days in prison for having violated a restraining order preventing domestic violence. And this was despite the fact that that restraining order had already been overturned. So so they were still actively filing charges against a restraining order that was no longer in effect. It had been dropped, and the case it was attached to had been dismissed as of June or July of last year, and they were still filing charges against me up until October. Despite the fact that we proved that there was no domestic violence in which to justify that TPO in the first place, the temporary protective order. So it's just a cluster of fucks. The jail thing. I mean, you clearly get the sense that you're now a part of the system, and they will try to destroy you because you are worth more money dead to them.
Mm. Yeah, and that's it. You said 80 grand. That's what happened. So the state gets reimbursed, or the company gets paid, and the state pays the company for housing inmates. And if they fill up the prison to the brim, then that's how much profit that company makes. And judges have been caught, taking kickbacks to put more people in jail, including young children. So, and New Mexico has historically housed a high percentage of inmates in private facilities, which is about 45%, only second to Montana. So, private prison, you got motivations to lock people up. It's never going to be good, and everybody's going to be involved. Everybody in the community, especially as America goes into decline, people are searching for ways to make extra money. This is why civil forfeiture, police can pull you over, and if you have any money, they can take your money and say, well, he was probably going to buy drugs with it. They never have to file a police report. They never have to arrest you. They just take it. And other things like houses and boats and cars, it doesn't matter. Property, anything that has any equity, they can take it from you and say, well, he was probably going to sell the house and then use the cash to buy drugs, essentially. Yeah, it never ends. So what are you going to do now? So tell us a little more. We're going to have the next segment after this. You come back and you do another interview another day, but what are you going to do now? What's the big plan? How do we rectify all these things? Ryan Slater, how do we fix this awful world?
It's like everything else. It needs to be reformed, and it's not just 1 or 2 things. That's the hard part. People don't want to get involved with politics, and I understand the apathy. I understand why people would want to avoid it. It doesn't make you feel good, but it's not just 1 or 2 things that need to be fixed. And of course, that's what politicians will always latch on to, 1 or 2 things. And but again, with things like tariffs, it's now going to never be something that anyone wants to touch, just like how communism was. No one wants to touch communism now because of all of our intervening. Yes, but we are a different breed of human.
Right. Yeah.
We're
on the higher echelon. We're
I don't want to say that, but I will say that we at least like look into it because we're sick individuals and we're masochistic.
For me, I think because my life has been so terrible, I just think I was just looking for a scapegoat, and I went into politics thinking it's not me, it's these motherfuckers, it's the
Yeah.
whole picture, yeah,
Well,
and it made me
you
feel.
want to talk about something really sick? Part of the reason why I watch so many videos of these Palestinian children being blown to smithereens is because for the first time in my life, I feel like holy shit, these people have it worse off than me.
Right. Yeah, and that's it. That's exactly what I meant. Yeah, that you have a juxtaposition where you can say, "Oh, shit," and that usually is all it takes because in countries where the income inequality is really bad, like you have. When I had to look at rich people's houses while I was shitting in a mason jar in my van, uh, mostly
Why?
peeing in it. I think when I pooped,
Like, yeah. Okay. Well, you're a vegan, right? Maybe. Okay. Maybe that's why.
now, yeah, we're weird like that. Yeah,
All of us,
but-
yeah. We're
yeah.
all
Tofu is a
Not
vegan
necessarily
too.
because of the style of the mason jar, but I don't know. I just like I have a
It's a California
dietary
thing.
issues, and I need to spend a lot more time, and would use a lot larger of a receptacle if I was in a van. Um,
Actually, I have to say, sometimes if you could get a plastic bag from like a liquor store or a Chinese food restaurant, which are really widely available in the hood, then you can do it. Then that's the
Okay.
easier thing. Yeah.
So the Chinese food customers know who's eating their
Yeah.
products.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, when I lived in San Francisco, the one thing when you woke up in the morning, you crawled out of your car or whatever, and you had to have $2 so that you could take that morning shit. And then so it was a $2 tax on shitting anywhere in San Francisco at any time.
They
Yeah.
get you.
That's how they get you.
Yeah.
Well, hey, get in touch with me on the wherever, and let's do another one because you're just a hoot and a holler.
Thanks, man. You too.
All right, Ryan Slater, ladies and gentlemen, handsome criminal mastermind. What were you gonna say?
Could I do a shout out for my account?
Would you please?
Hey, Ryan Slater, at lastpanda419 @gmail. I'm Only the Planet Matters on YouTube. You can find a lot of my political stuff on YouTube more than anything else. I put up a lot of my like debate commentary on YouTube, but mostly active on Instagram. Check me out there at lastpanda419.
Check him out, guys. He's a hell of a guy. I want to leave you with something I read today that I thought maybe you'd enjoy. It's an ancient Chinese proverb I heard. It says, when the elephants fight, it's the grass that suffers." And I thought that was cute because I love elephants. But there you go. All right, brother. I'll talk to you soon.
We are just ants. We are little ants for the billionaires.
That's true. That's
Mhm.
true. All right,
Like I
brother.
said,
Take care.
If the trans thing is our kryptonite, Elon's gonna mine Krypton.
Probably.
Mhm.
Probably. Shout out at me, brother. Good to talk to you. There you go. We got him. Interesting guy. Lot to say. I wonder how that all worked out for him. There's two sides to every story, though. I don't want to get involved.
There
But
is
the
two
court,
sides to every story.
the court system is bad, though. We'll say that.
The court system is fucking shocking. Like, I knew everything was monetized to the hilt.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
at the same time, fuck me.
It gets worse.
Yeah.
It gets worse. Do you have that in Ireland? Is it the same? Are there obviously there's some for-profit stuff going on where people are being,
Well, I
it's
don't
not
think
good.
any nationality, ethnicity likes lawyers. I think that's kind of like a universal thing. But
Yeah.
it's not to anywhere near the same degree. If you're poor, you are entitled to free defense. And as far as I'm aware, I've never been in trouble with law, so I can't speak to like ankle bracelets or.
Hey, you're missing out. It's just the best thing ever.
But I presume they're not charging for that over here. I think there would probably be.
Well, and everybody's got a public defender. So it was funny. I got in trouble in Netherlands one time, and I did. I went to jail overnight, and the public defender was adequate enough, but he didn't want to take a lot of time either. That was the thing. So, and that's typical in the United States, is the public defenders have to see hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of cases over a year, while a regular lawyer only sees like 12. And so I think they're overworked in a lot of ways. So you don't always get the best guy, but it all depends, I guess. But yeah, you gotta do it, Tofu. Break the law. It's great.
Well, don't get caught.
No,
That
no,
was
I
your
can't.
advice at the beginning of the stream, wasn't
Stay
it?
in trouble. Don't get. That's the thing. Stay in trouble. Don't get caught. But yeah, because you can't not break the rules. I don't think even rich people break the rules. All these well-to-do. It's only like
Or
the
the
really
most.
poor working class people who flagellate themselves for not being perfect citizens.
And
The
they
rich
should be the
people
ones enjoying themselves.
the
most of
most,
them,
right?
yeah.
You're the ones that's working so hard because, well, they're working so hard that they need alcohol, tobacco, and religion in order to give them a crutch to keep going. Like, I'll rest in heaven.
A little bit of
That'll be a
opium, a little bit of
little fentanyl,
yeah,
little
whatever
fist
tick-
fighting,
whatever
fighting in the
tickles your
bar.
fancy.
Whatever blows your hair back.
Yeah.
So we got an option here. I don't know what your schedule's like. We could take a break because Justin Lepard wants to come on. He's a cello player and a friend of mine, brilliant guy. He wants to talk a little politics. And we're also going to talk about the book I'm writing, which I've cobbled together through different research. And it's basically a straightforward history book on animal exploitation. And so he's been proofreading that, and we'll maybe talk about that. Do you think if we took a short break, we could come back and do another segment, or are you too tired?
I need to be up in the morning
Oh, no.
because I'm baking for my union buddies and I want to give them nice.
Oh, well,
sweet
you have to do
treats.
that.
Yeah,
That's okay.
So
Well, then you come back on Monday and we do a session where you can meet Jamie Logan.
Yeah.
We
For
could
sure.
do what we just did. I think you bring a lot of pizzazz. I think you bring a lot of umph to the situation.
I hope.
I couldn't do it without you. Who would I be talking to right now? Myself? I don't like that.
True.
No. You're
Anyway.
wonderful.
Best of luck with the rest of the stream. And
Yeah.
sounds really interesting, and I'll try to watch it the next day.
All right, we're going to end the stream. We're going to talk right after. All right, you guys, we'll be back in 10 minutes or so.